Hey everyone, and welcome to the ATA podcast. I'm Matt Baird.
And I'm Andy Ho. This podcast is brought to you by the American Translators Association. Each month, we bring you news and insights from ATA. We look at what's happening across the association, explore the benefits of membership, and discuss the translation and interpreting professions.
That's right. You know, the T&I industry is always changing, and we hope this podcast will help you keep up with it. ATA was founded over 60 years ago to advance the translation and interpreting professions and foster the professional development of individual translators and interpreters. We have nearly 9,000 members in more than 100 countries.
If you'd like to know more about ATA, we'll have some information for you at the end of the show. And you'll also find links in the notes.
All right, let's get started with a few quick announcements.
ATA has released yet another resource available only to ATA members. Now you can download a model job contract for independent language contractors. The model job contract is a template that specifies details for individual jobs and assignments. It was developed from industry best practices and includes the standard terms and conditions that should be defined for every language project. ATA members can download the model job contract by logging into their account on the ATA website and looking under ATA resources. Also, did you know that ATA has created 3 special interest groups, also known as SIGs, for financial translators, interpreters and translators in education in Southeast Asian languages? SIGs are similar to divisions. Members gain access to private groups to discuss terminology, share training opportunities, and find support for their unique challenges. Find links in the show notes to join. And finally, it's membership renewal time. Be sure to watch your inboxes for notifications and renew before the end of the year. If you're not a member but work in translation or interpreting fields, now is a great time to discover how ATA membership could work for you. Visit atanet.org to learn about all the benefits or follow the link in the show notes. Now back to the show.
Antonio Tony Guerra is a Spanish and English translator and interpreter with more than 20 years of experience in multicultural communications. A native of Havana, Cuba, he has worked both in-house and as a freelancer. He is designated as a qualified Spanish-English interpreter by the Pennsylvania State Courts. He's the former president of the Delaware Valley Translators Association, and within the ATA, he's been a board director and served on the mentoring and ethics committees. And then at the most recent ATA conference this past October, Tony was appointed chair of the membership committee, which is why I've invited him to speak with us today. Welcome, Tony.
Hi, Andy. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, well, so what we're going to talk about today is all the membership benefits that ATA membership offers somebody. So a lot of our listeners are already members, but many are not. So we're going to give them an overview today of the benefits of joining our club. So Tony, what made you first join the ATA?
Well, I sort of stumbled in this profession by the way many people do, especially back at the beginning of this millennia, after 1999, there was I was working in Hispanic marketing and found myself suddenly downsized without a job, and language was the core of what I was doing. And so I started. Somebody connected me with a hospital that needed translations, and so I kind of did that. And then I got to know other people that were kind of doing it, but not connected to anything. And finally, I met someone who was a member of our local chapter, and they said, you know, there are other translators doing what you do, and they get together. And so I joined the chapter, and then I was like, this is fantastic. This is a community. And suddenly there was like a standard to which I could aspire, and I started to meet other people. And then I heard about ATA on a national level, and I thought that was amazing. So very shortly after that, I joined ATA.
I think this idea of community is going to be a recurring theme in our conversation today.
Absolutely. That is for me, it's key because I have to say that without ATA, I would not be the interpreter that I no longer translate. I'm really exclusively an interpreter now, but I would not be where I am today at a certain level because ATA just raises the bar. It puts you in a community of some very inspiring, very successful, very intelligent people,
I
and
agree.
they're at the top of their game.
So you are the new chair, as I mentioned, of the ATA's membership committee. Real quickly, one sentence, what is the committee's goal?
So I think this committee is very, very important because the committee really explores the identity. What is ATA? What does a membership mean? What does it mean to be a member of this association, of this community? And what we try to do as a committee is really examine who we are and try to address the needs, existing and potential. Everything from what is the diversity of our community? What is the level of inclusion? What do people really need, both seasoned and incoming? So what we try to do is we try to support members in their endeavor, in their practice. We also advocate for members, and we work closely with the advocacy committee and other committees that are existing to make sure that we're all working together towards a common goal. And of course, we try to attract new members and retain existing members by remaining relevant. So by really looking at who we are, we've done surveys. We try to create programs that really respond to people's needs and where they are in their careers. So I know AI is really big right now, and so we have a lot of offerings. There are professional development programs, and there are issues for legal and medical interpreters that are constantly presenting themselves, and ATA has been instrumental. We have a very active advocacy committee for that. So I feel like we operate on a lot of levels, but we are constantly creating programs that support all of these different aspects of what an ATA membership means.
Shout out real quick to the advocacy committee. Whether or not you are an ATA member, the advocacy committee is out there working for you, agitating among, in Washington, D.C. and in various state governments to advocate for translators and interpreters. So you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Now, Tony, I've been an ATA member for a while now, continuously since 2011 and sporadically prior to that. But in the past few years, even before the pandemic, I noticed a huge uptick in the number of programs and resources that the ATA offers, professional development webinars and whatnot. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I think it attests to the vision of the leadership and colleagues like yourself and myself, people who care and who are willing to give of their time and say, I know even Matt, who does the podcast with you, people volunteering and saying, we're a community. I think you and I have talked about this before, that it's not, ATA is not us and them, like somebody behind a curtain operating this mysterious association. It is us. We are the ones who make it happen. And it's because of people like us weighing in and saying, we need this, or at this time, post-pandemic, that opened up a whole new reality for us in terms of what we need and the whole AI spectrum and virtual and technological practices. So it's a response to that. One thing I want to say is that nothing is static. And as the profession evolves, translation and interpreting, we have to change with it and keep up. More than keep up, I think be at the helm, anticipate what's coming. And ATA offers that. And that's why you see these programs and resources happening, because there are people, interested people, informed people, intelligent people that are recognizing this and making it happen. So we're very privileged to be able to have that. It comes at a price, but again, it depends at what level you want to be practicing.
So let's get down to brass tacks. We're talking about how great the ATA is. Concretely, what are the most fundamental benefits, straight up, right away, that members get when they join?
Well, I would say, it's picking one over the other. I would say access to the divisions, because that's where you get your most immediate sense of community and support. For me, the Spanish division, the medical division, the government division.
So for
These
people who don't know what a division is, I'm part of the French language division. I always describe it as French club, like you had in high school. So it's a subset of the ATA. You join it once you're an ATA member. You join it simply by checking a box in your profile. You can join and unjoin as many divisions as you want at any time. And then you get access to listservs and whatnot, and activities that division holds specifically for a particular interest. So continue,
right,
Tony.
and
Sorry.
exactly, by being member of these divisions, you find out other people who are working in your same language group or in your same special practice that can create a sense of community, can give you feedback. There are listservs and chats, groups that help people sort of get oriented. As I said, when you start out in this profession, typically interpreters and they work alone. If you're just out there, unless you've gone to a school and they can sort of orient you, you're kind of out there on your own, and you don't know, how do I price it? One of the biggest things that I'm proud of, you asked me about what the membership committee does. Something I'm very, very proud of is we recently put out a translator's guide to starting out as a translator, which is a comprehensive, but it's a step-by-step for people either recently graduating or transitioning from another profession, say from working in-house to becoming a translator. Right now, myself and a few others on our committee are working on the interpreters, a guide to becoming a professional interpreter. The interpreter ebook should come out sometime in the spring. I'm hoping it's very close to being ready. So let the cat out of the bag. This ebook is accessible for members through our website, and it is a phenomenal reference. It covers everything from technology to pricing to the mystery of certification or the benefits of that. And it is just phenomenal. It is a really incredible compilation of really starting your business with very, very valuable information that I think very few of us had when we were starting out. So I'm very excited to have that available for interpreters as well, which is, as we know, there's a lot of similarity between translators and interpreters, but the whole business practice looks completely different. So there's quite a bit of repurposing of some of the content. So that's one very exciting thing. I would also add the Chronicle. Again, I talk about the Chronicle is the publication that ATA puts out that features articles on the practice and the profession and people's experiences, people working in AI. It is, again, enlightened. It is people contributing their very best. I talk about drawing from the community. Again, the Chronicle the content is created by the membership, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And I also have to mention the listing in the ATA directory. I will say that is, I think for me, when I joined, I had no idea that was so powerful.
It's huge, right?
It is huge. When I talk about the brilliance, and the standard established by ATA, or having that credential of being a member, clients are interested in that. That means that you take your profession so seriously that you have joined the most prominent language industry association in the world.
I'm glad you mentioned
And
that. Let's talk about that quickly. Yeah. So what is the image here? Like, do clients care whether a translator or interpreter is an ATA member? Like, what does that convey to a client?
absolutely, I can't tell you how many emails I've received. I found your name in the ATA directory, and I was wondering if you would be available for this project. I can tell you that within the scope of like the first couple of months of each year, my membership is months, maybe weeks. It depends on the job. Sometimes it's several of them, but my membership is covered by clients finding me on ATA, and they're always new. And right now, there's a lot of work. I'm turning more work down than I can accept. So it's really, really nice to be in this position where you can say, thank you very much for contact. Maybe next time. There's again the translator ebook, the guide, and the interpreter. It talks about all of that, how to market yourself, how to create a website, and how to network. So all of these things that maybe just don't come naturally, or we're just born knowing. But again, having your name associated with ATA, it certainly, I think, adds prestige, and it indicates a level of commitment and professionalism that I don't know that any other association would give you. Perhaps, I mean, if you're a UN interpreter and you belong to IEC, something like that. But generally speaking, I think ATA is very much at the helm of the industry, and clients have come to expect a certain level of professionalism and skill and competency.
I think professionalism, signs of professionalism is particularly important in our field because
yes.
virtually anybody can enter the field, which is both good and bad. So you have to distinguish yourself. And one of the ways of doing that is showing that you are serious and committed to this profession and not just a dilettante, And so you have invested in it by, among other things, becoming an ATA member.
Absolutely correct.
So you were also on the mentoring committee. That's sort of a sleeper program that some people don't know about, even longtime ATA members, the mentoring program we have. It is free and it is open to all members of almost all levels of experience, correct? Can you tell us about the program?
Thank you so much for mentioning the mentoring program. I was co-chair of this for, I guess, 4 years. And I must say, it was really an honor and a privilege to work with this group, helping mentors and mentees find each other. And I equate this program to, in our ATA presentation, I presented with Charo Rosario Wella, and we compared it to a Dumbledore Harry Potter kind of partnership, where you achieve your level of excellence by working with somebody that's really advanced and really giving and caring, but you're also very hardworking and self-motivated and disciplined. This program is part of the business practices committee. And it's not about language skill, it's about business practice and developing your practice, especially if you're transitioning from another practice. Say you're becoming an interpreter and you've been a translator, or you're coming from in-house, I mean, when it can become freelance. It has many, many iterations. And depending on what you want to do, we find men who are experts or are very advanced and accomplished in that area that you want to achieve. And I often say that if we were to hire a consultant in our field and pay them to help us develop a website or develop our business and grow our business, how much would we be having to pay that person to be available to us once or twice a month over Zoom or over emails, and for a period of 6 months? And you set out with a very specific goal. I want to achieve X, Y, and Z in this time period and have my business look like this. Or, let's see where it can take it. What we've tried to do is make the program very clear, very specific, very achievable, so that people are not disappointed and they go into it with clear expectations, and both for mentor and mentee. And we've had tremendous success. People are very, very happy with it. And I think it is, you're absolutely right. It's a very under the radar, I would say. People are not really aware of how much it could really impact them. And it's absolutely free. And again, I come back to community and the brilliance and the excellence of our membership. Sometimes we have to go scouting for mentors that are not, automatically volunteering, because they are either unaware or they just don't know that people want or need their skills. But because of our group, somebody wanted to get into literary translation. Someone in our group says, I know someone who does that. Let me approach her and see if she'd be willing to mentor this person wanting to enter this field. Or what is the other? I'm trying to think of the other vertical that someone wanted to enter. Very popular right now, subtitling. It's huge, and we have people from the AV division. My co-chair, Deborah Wexler, who was also administrator for the AV committee. So we were able to find phenomenal people, very accomplished, Netflix, people working with Netflix and such, really accomplished, and people wanting to, and how do you begin to enter this industry? How does one begin to develop the skills? So that was, again, not language specific, business practice specific. And I just can't say enough about it. We have testimonials. If you go on the ATI website and look under mentoring,
no, you don't need to. I'm your testimonial right here. I have been a mentor and a mentee, and it's great on both sides. Totally recommend it.
Thank you.
Second everything you said, Tony. And
Thank you
also,
so
I'm
much.
going to take the opportunity here to shout out the audio-visual division you just mentioned, yet another division of the ATA. It's relatively new, and it is focused on things like subtitling. And some of the members have, like you said, subtitled for things like Netflix, some of the shows that you know and love, some of the shows that I know and love that I'm not going to name here. I know the people who've worked on it. So
it's impressive.
Become one of them.
Again, how does someone achieve that level of accomplishment? Because I would say that's a pretty high level of accomplishment in a career, to be able to contribute to that. And we all benefit from it because we all love Netflix. So it's just it's astounding, and really you can grow. And I would say another benefit of an ATA membership is the conference. And I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's certainly an offering that ATA creates every year through great effort, and just it's a wonder. I'll never forget my first conference, and I was just blown away. And I had attended regional conferences from my chapter, which were very, very good. And many of the speakers for our local conferences came from the national conferences. But to be in this space for a number of days, meeting the community, because you and I can talk to each other through email and Zoom, but to be in a group with, again, with this community and to really get to know people, it's very rewarding, I would say.
So what would you say to people who are maybe hesitant to join because of the cost? Are there tangible ways that one makes their money back? For instance, discounts on this or that?
I would say that it's an investment in yourself. Other careers, I mean, I work in legal and in medical, and of course, when you work with doctors and lawyers, they belong to their associations, and I think that their membership fees are much higher. But for them, it's part of doing business, it's part of being a professional. And when you up your game, then you up your wages, I believe, if you really apply yourself. So if you're willing to invest in yourself, I think it's the best investment you can make. If you truly love what you do and you are committed to making the best of it and being the best at what you do. And I wouldn't say that it comes always easy or quickly. It does require a dedication and a commitment, but as I said before, through the directory, I get, I won't say that it's not expensive if you look at the grand scheme of things, and the potential for a return on investment.
Yeah, our profession is relatively low cost to get into compared to starting, another type of business. So I personally just lump it in with that. It's, I don't have to buy stock, inventory to sell a physical product. I don't have to rent a physical store space. So compared to that, I feel like I'm coming out ahead compared to a lot of industries. Oh, and I also wanted to mention a couple of years ago, 2 conferences ago, I got a big fat discount on some software at the conference from being a member. So that was definitely a benefit for me.
Thank you for mentioning that, because that is something many of our vendors who work with translators recognize the value of ATA. They exhibit at ATA and they want to cater to the membership because they want members to use their software. So it's a win for everybody. They get to sell it. The translator works, the work benefits, the client benefits, and also you can remain current. So a lot of them also offer training as part of their promotion. So I do the discounts, and also there are insurance discounts, liability insurance that members can benefit from. It's not very commonly known, but it is a good practice, I would say, for translators. I mean, if you work with an agency, agencies have their coverage, but if you work with private clients, it's not a bad idea to consider that. So I don't know if I'm forgetting any, because we've been jumping around to the different benefits. Usually I have, when I do, but I want to mention the membership orientation webinars that we have. Their presentations. We have them. We had 5 this year, and there's actually one coming up in December, the last one, where we have people from the membership committee really talk about, what it is to be a member, and just really listing everything systematically, what a membership offers in detail, including the divisions, the chronicle, the certification, the conference, the mentorship program, and all the different
and the many webinars that have been popping up.
Also many. One thing I didn't mention, there are many free webinars. I believe there's a free webinar every month, if I'm not mistaken. There are some webinars that are paid, but there are also many free webinars, which are excellent. And if that doesn't attract someone to think that there's a constant reaffirmation of the membership, of the consideration that the association wants to be sure that they're contributing to enhancing your professional life as a translator interpreter. and I mean that sincerely. There's a real constant caring, and I love that our mission statement is that, the voice of translators and interpreters, because with this association, with this community, you really can have a voice. You can be heard. It's not something that is just for those who are raking in, the high salaries and the big projects and the Netflix. It's really for everyone who joins. So it doesn't matter your level of experience, your opinion matters. And
So speaking of that, actually, I realize now we kind of buried the lead a little bit. We have different levels of memberships within the ATA, correct? Can you go through those a little bit and let people know what different types there are?
well, we have a student membership level, and we have an associate level. We have a voting member. To become a voting member doesn't cost anymore. I think the student memberships are reduced rates for people who are still in school and maybe kind of getting on their feet, and so that's a real consideration. But I think once you get used to being in this company, I would imagine that if you stay in the profession, you'd want to continue. Right now, I believe there's different levels, additional levels are being considered. I don't know at what state they're in to consider. There's been some talk about looking at creating other tiers. And
All right, so I just pulled it up. So for basically a regular membership, it's $249 a year this year. Student memberships are $109. We have institutional and corporate memberships. So, if you are a translation agency or if you're the State Department of the US, something like that. And then there's a lifetime membership that is only available for under specific circumstances. So I think the two main ones that people listening are most likely interested in are the $249 a year for a regular member and $109 a year for students.
Exactly. And I think it merits, we are looking at other associations and how they're structured, so that there's always the possibility that further down we might be creating, like for young professionals or maybe seniors, perhaps on fixed income. So I think for right now, this works. It's not, I think, unreasonable. And I think that what you get for this is a lot. I'm really impressed with the quality and the quantity of return on this investment. So,
well, you're preaching to the choir here, Tony, but hopefully some listeners out there will hear us and think about joining the team, joining the club.
And I'll say, as an interpreter, it also has allowed me to move in, to have a broader client reach, because the chapter level, our chapter was $45 a year, and that's very affordable. But it's very small, it's very local, and so if someone wanted to find a translator interpreter within our zip code area, that was fine. But really, I would say that your world just opens up. I also have to mention the fact that bringing it back to community, by being at the conference and working with people, you and I volunteer, and people get to know you in a professional capacity, in a personal capacity, and sometimes you get a look at your work. I've received work passed on from colleagues where there's maybe a larger interpreting project and they need a number of interpreters.
Absolutely.
So that cannot be overlooked. When you're part of a community which is based on excellence and accomplishment and skill, I would say you're in great company. You want to rub elbows with these people and be included. So, and these are all people that are hungry for knowledge, for improvement, for being current. Again, I repeat, I would not be the interpreter that I am today were it not for ATA. I'm totally, there's just no question about it for me. I can't imagine where I would be. I would be lost, I think. So it feels, I feel very supported and seen and heard. And I've also loved being part of helping to shape the association by having been on the board, and also being part of these, by giving back, being part of these committees, like in the mentoring committee. So, and you know what I mean.
We definitely appreciate your all that you've done, for sure. As a member, I have to say, I know you're very active in the ATA, and it has made a big impact. So thank you for leaving a legacy of sorts, for making a difference.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, that's a wrap. We'd like to thank everyone who helped produce today's show.
Chris Silva recorded the announcements. Derek Platts mixed and edited the audio. ATA headquarters provided editorial and technical support.
If you learned anything new in today's podcast, I bet there's someone out there who would like to know it too. Don't be stingy. Tell them about the podcast. I've gotten to know so many great podcasts that way. I promise they'll thank you for it.
And if you're not an ATA member, listen up. I've been a member for over 20 years. Joining ATA literally launched my freelance career. It opened the door to a profession I knew very little about, and attending my first annual conference led to my very first freelance job.
And I joined for the first time in 2004 as a student. My first conference blew my mind. Nowadays, the demand for translators and interpreters is at an all-time high, but finding quality work isn't easy. ATA membership can make the difference. And ATA isn't just for translators and interpreters. We have teachers and professors, hospital administrators, language company owners, and technology developers, just to name a few. Companies and institutions can join too. Our membership includes language companies, universities, and government agencies.
If you'd like to know more, go to ATA's website, atanet.org. You can also check out past episodes of this podcast where we talk about the benefits of membership and what's currently happening in the association.
But before you go, please take a quick moment to give us a rating or write a review. Tell us what you like, why you listen, or about your favorite guest. Your feedback is super helpful, and reviews help other listeners find the show too.
We'd really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Talk to you again soon.